Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Rigo Villa. I am one of the community managers on the Cisco Learning Network, and I'll be your host today. In this session, we are going to be covering what's new with Swim in Catalyst Center 3.x with our two presenters, Chris Paula Thomas and Bruce McMurdo. But before we get started, I just wanted to share a couple of quick housekeeping notes. First, I want to let our attendees know that this session is being recorded and you will be able to access it on demand at any time for your viewing pleasure as soon as it's over. Next, I just wanted to take a moment to address our Q&A and a poll question for this session. So we are going to be using Slido for any questions during the live event. So feel free to submit them directly through your Slido window, and one of our amazing panelists will be ready to assist. We're also going to be using Slido to launch a poll question in the presentation. And to make sure that you are ready to engage with the poll and also submit any questions that you may have, you can go ahead and scan that QR code on your screen with your mobile device, or you can also log in directly through the Catalyst Center live streams page. We are also going to be launching a Slido survey at the very end of the live stream, and we would really appreciate it if you can just take a minute to fill it out and let us know how you like today's presentation. We always look forward to receiving your valuable feedback and comments. All right, so without any further delay, I'd like to introduce our first speaker for today. Joining us is CX Product Manager Chris Paula Thomas, who is going to drive the first half of the session today. Hey, Chris, how are you today? Are you ready to dive in?
Hello. I am. Whenever you're ready, we can get started and talk about some nice, fun new things in Swim.
Awesome. Yeah, let's dive right into it. Please take it away if you're ready.
All right, sounds great. All right, well, welcome everybody. My name is Chris Paula Thomas, as Rigo said, and I'm also joined by my colleague and teammate Bruce McMurdo. We are customer experience product managers at Cisco, and we're going to dig in a little bit today on some new features that are being added or have been added to Swim in version 3.x of Catalyst Center. And we also, not only are we going to talk about new features, but we also want to reiterate some of the value add that you can get from using Swim in your network. So, as our networks grow bigger and they become more complex, we want to make sure that we have the ability to manage and verify and also deploy software to the hardware that we have, at scale. So that is where Swim steps in, and Swim can help us out and be a very strong piece of the toolbox that we use for this. So, all right, so what's one of the things that's new, and this is important, is we have a new dashboard here. So let's talk about the user experience. So one of the biggest challenges that network administrators have is there's this fragmented nature of image management. A lot of times you had to jump between different pages to check your image health. What's your standard image? What are the, what we previously called golden images? And go elsewhere if you wanted to trigger an upgrade. So what we've done is we've implemented a new software image management dashboard. And what this allows you to do is have a centralized command center now. You have an enhanced image repository where the software information is all consolidated into one spot. And so you can immediately see which devices are out of compliance and which sites require attention now. You can see from some of those screenshots there, what I'm talking about. And so the goal here was to bring it all under one pane of glass, so to speak. So it's not just about aesthetic changes. We want to reduce your time to knowledge, so you can make some faster decisions, about your network software lifecycle. All right, so for those of you that are moving towards infrastructure as code, we have some Swim APIs in the Catalyst Center platform. We have a comprehensive suite of endpoints that'll allow you to automate your entire image lifecycle. You can programmatically sync images from Cisco.com. You can see that in the first key endpoint there. You also have the ability to tag images, get an image summary by site, delete images, tag and remove golden images. And so this allows you to integrate the Catalyst Center directly into your CI and CD pipelines. So think about this from this perspective. Imagine if you could, you get a new security advisory. You can run an automation script that can identify the devices that are affected by this, pull the images from CCO, tag it as the new standard image, and all without you even having to go into the GUI. It's all in an attempt to make this easier on you as a network administrator. All right, so let's go into, so those are some of the new things. Let's kind of talk about why we use SWIM in the first place. So obviously, big one is, we want that cost reduction. Depending on how large your network is, you may have a lot of devices that you're managing. And that is a lot of overhead time for you as a network administrator. Just keeping your devices up to date, just looking on Cisco's, support pages to find out what the latest images are, looking to see what the latest security advisories are. That's a lot of overhead. So SWIM helps you eliminate a lot of that overhead by putting it all in one spot. So obviously, if you've been using SWIM already, you know about the image standardization. You have that centralized management platform. And now with the new SWIM dashboard, of course, that's all in one spot as opposed to going to multiple spots. And you get the ability to make sure that you're having software consistency across your network. If you have all of the same type of device, you can make sure that all of that certain Catalyst switch has the same image across the network. And you approve what is a standard image and what is not. So you're not going to have a switch that it has an outdated version of code, or you're not going to have one that has a version of code that you have not approved as your team. So again, this is one of the big benefits, with SWIM, is centralizing all of this management in one spot. But you also get access to the security advisories and the network bug identifier. So again, we're trying to bring value to you to make your job easier. All right, so let's talk again about the benefits of upgrading. So the SWIM, we're talking about the SWIM lifecycle. We're automating the upgrade cycle using Catalyst Center. You also get intent-based network upgrades. We're going to streamline and make an efficient process using Catalyst Center and image standardization using standard images. You can, so there's also the ability to verify the images that are downloaded. It'll automatically verify against the hash, so that what you have downloaded is a valid image and not one that is either corrupt or has a problem. You also get pre and post checks. You don't want to load an image on a device that's not ready for it. If it fails a pre-check, you don't want to push it on there. You don't know that it's going to work successfully if it has failed that pre-check. But you also want, once your image is deployed, you want the ability to check it after the fact to make sure that it's not going to have an adverse effect. So again, a lot of you have probably already seen this before, but I want to make sure that you understand the benefits of upgrading with SWIM and automating that software upgrade cycle. So the other thing to talk about are in-service software upgrades. So the ISSU, or in-service software upgrade, that allows for certain compatible devices and images to receive upgrades from a single automated workflow without interruption. So there will be a sub-second convergence during the upgrades. And what this does is this gives you enhanced efficiency during your maintenance windows and gives you minimal downtime. Nobody wants to be, to use recent events, nobody wants to be that engineer that accidentally kicked the power cord off the main network rack. Nobody wants to be that one that brings the whole network to a crawl because they didn't follow standard procedure. We see how that has affected, industries recently. And so, we want to make sure that you're not going to have that problem. So you also have the ability to use image distribution servers. So this gives you a dedicated file server per site to enhance the performance. You can, use them to enhance efficiency, which you copy images from site to site. There's also support for SCP and SFTP for copying images to these devices. One benefit of this, as you see there, is it gives you the ability to lessen your bandwidth utilization. You can, if it's distributed amongst your sites where you have these image distribution servers, then you're not pushing a huge image, for example, from your HQDC down to your LATAM file server, as you're doing these upgrades. It will sit on that remote file server to allow you to push this out. And again, giving you that lower maintenance window for remote and branch upgrades by doing so. So in terms of accelerating the swim status, so this is another thing to discuss. So a new feature has been added that will allow you to speed up the ability to get the upgrade status for network devices. This is done by discovering a device via netconf, and you can see some of the code in here. And what that does, so then what Catalyst Center will do is it will manage it via netconf, and the device will send TDL notifications, which stands for the definition language, to Catalyst Center's swim task result table. Previously, Catalyst Center would pull the network devices for status every 2 minutes. And now that we've implemented this, it's removed and the device has been discovered via netconf port 80. And that install event subscription was pushed during provision. So here are some of the prerequisites for upgrading a network device. A lot of these you may already know. Everybody has to accept the EULA. Whether you've read it completely 100% or not, you have to accept the EULA. And I know there are a lot of you out there that probably don't read every line and letter of the EULA and you just click it blindly, but you have to do it. You have to go through that. You have to accept the EULA. So you have to have devices that have CLI/SNMP or HTTPS SCP credentials. They should be in a managed state, and the device credentials will be used to transfer the software image files. So CCO credentials, while recommended, are not required. We recommend you use them to keep this process as automated as possible, because if you have your CCO credentials in there, the Catalyst Center can automatically fetch and display the suggested latest software images. As I mentioned earlier, it will validate, when it downloads the file, it'll validate it against the known hash value for it to make sure that you're downloading a valid image file. But again, it's not required. We just recommend it. Now, as I said, you do have to have it if you want to use the integrity verification checks. If you're going to validate yourself when you download the image, then that's up to you. But if you want Catalyst Center to do it within the dashboard itself, then you're going to need those CCO credentials. All right, so more prerequisites. So obviously the image must be imported and marked as standard for the intended network device. The HTTPS or SCP must be operational between Catalyst Center and the network device. And I'm not going to read all these there. You see that. These are the key ones that you need to know on how to make sure that it's going to work. So obviously, before using it on legacy devices, make sure that TLS is enabled. That's for the devices like the CAT 3000, 4000, and 6000 series devices. So multiple devices can be selected to perform an upgrade task, and they'll be run in a parallel fashion. And again, I'm not going to read all these out to you. You can see those on the screen. Just bear those in mind as you are going through and doing an upgrade on a network device. All right, so upgrading a device, implementation from start to finish. So obviously we, bringing this all together, let's just look at this implementation flow for a minute. So we have a 4-stage process here. So you start with design. We're designing, that's where you select your golden image. And then we move into the provision phase, which includes the image readiness check to catch any last minute issues. We talked about the pre-check that happens. Obviously, we have a post check as well, but in terms of the provision area, that's what we're looking at here. Um, and then we go through we distribute the bits to the device. As you see there, the image distribution, then we activate the image. And then, throughout the entire process, we're monitoring the status on the dashboard. We can see how it's going. We can see percentage. We can see, get an idea of how long it's going to take or how much we have left. So giving you this structured approach, all these stages, ensures that you have confidence that this upgrade is going to succeed when it's all done. Okay, and I believe that's the last of my slides. I'm going to actually hand it over to Rigo, who's going to present our poll for the day and let you guys start interacting with that on Slido.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Chris. Really appreciate that. So yeah, as Chris mentioned, we do have a poll question for everybody before we move forward with the live demonstration. We do have it's a simple poll question for everybody. We're interested in finding out if you are using image distribution servers in your SWIM deployment, and this is just a simple yes or no question. If you wouldn't mind just taking the few seconds of your time to answer the poll. You can go ahead and scan that QR code on your screen, or if you're logged into Slido, you can go ahead and enter in your responses there as well. Yeah, just let us know, what your answer is there for everybody. We'd appreciate your participation there. And now, I'm actually pleased to introduce our CX product manager, Bruce McMurdo, excuse me. He is going to be driving the second half of the session with a nice little demo for everybody today. Welcome, Bruce. How are you today?
I'm great, thank you. And welcome to Catalyst Center 3.1. I think this might be the first time most of the audience has seen Catalyst Center 3.1. So let me just quickly show you a couple of things here. First, let's verify. So I'm going to click the question mark and about. We can see the version we're running here in the lab, 3.15. Okay. Another thing you'll notice is over here on the left-hand edge, we now have all the icons showing permanently down the side. That means you can go straight to any menu item with one click. If you have more screen real estate, you can click here and permanently expand those menu items. Okay, but I've got a small screen, I'll collapse those down. One other sort of fun thing is we see in 3.1 we've got a new homepage which is in beta. That's a pretty radical new homepage shift. So there it is, but I think we'll stick to what we're used to for now. So that's the homepage. Now, as far as SWIM's concerned, what Chris has sort of talked about, I think the most significant change to SWIM is to take all those pages that used to be spread out throughout Catalyst Center and put them all in one place. Now, where were those places and what happens if you have muscle memory? Well, the first place would be in network design, image repository. That's where all the images used to be stored. Now you get a redirect to go to the new SWIM page. All right. Now, the other place where a lot of SWIM activity happens, really the most of it, would be in provision and inventory. In the past, this is where you would go. You'd come to provision inventory, and then you'd have to know what to do. You'd have to know that, well, for SWIM, we want to change this default filter to software images. Now we'll see the software image information. But we don't really want you to do that now. Some image information is here, but what we really want you to do now is to hit this link to go to the new page. Now, the other thing that you're often doing on the provision page is, and you have to know to do this, of course, is if you go to Actions, Software Image, this is where in the past you would see, upgrade devices and the status of your jobs to upgrade them, image readiness, download the image readiness report. So you'd have all those submenus here, but now you are just told to go to the SWIM page, or you've got a link. I'll click on that, I'll go to the SWIM page itself. Okay, so rather than clicking any, oh, there's one other place that you'll often have to go, and that's to activities, tasks. This is where you would see the update jobs that you've run. Okay, so that's where you might have gone in the past. Now it's much easier. We just go down here to provision, network devices, and we've got Swim here as its own sort of page in this hierarchy. And this is where we're sort of moving things where we think they belong under network devices. Swim isn't the only thing that's moved here recently. So let's go to Swim, shall we? This is what the new page looks like. And as Chris covered, we're really focused now. What the research showed was there's really three things we want to focus on. The images, where are they? Put them all in one place. What devices do we need to update? And what updates are we actually running and how did they go? So we've got three separate tabs with three detailed pages for each of those things, but we're currently on the overview page. And on the overview page, we see KPIs for each of those. Okay, so KPIs for images, KPIs for devices, KPIs for updates. Now, we can customize this. So we can see here in devices, we can see how many images are tagged, how many updates have failed, how many devices are ready for update. Let's say we want to know how many total devices we have. Well, I should have, let me talk you through that before I do it. To do that, there's this cog icon. If I click on the cog icon, I can customize a page. We'll see more and more improvements to this customization. It's pretty rudimentary at the moment, but I said I want to know how many total image families there are. So let's select that, and how many total devices there are. So let's save that. And now I've updated my overview page. And if I log out and log back in, I'll get the same page here, the updates. Okay, so those updates are persistent. So now this is one of the cards we added, total device families. What you'll notice when you hover over a card is you get an explanation for that card, along with what the next steps are for that card. Now, in most cases, the next steps are to click on the card and then go with a focused view to one of these detailed tabs. Okay, the other card I just added was total devices, very similar, but you can see here, for each one of these KPIs, explanation, next steps, click on it, and that action actually takes place. I'm not going to click on things when I'm on one of these pages. I'm going to explain the page without jumping around, because I think that gets a bit confusing if I'm always jumping from page to page. So I'm going to go through each page sequentially, and then at the end, I'll do a couple of scenarios where we actually see how you navigate by clicking on these cards and going in and getting more information. So still on the overview page, if we scroll down a little bit, actually, before I do that, I wanted to talk about some filters we've got up at the top here. So you can see we've got 10 devices and 3 device families. We're on the global filter. This is the geographic filter. If I change that geography to just look at one of my sites, you'll see all of these cards update, because now I'm focused on Richardson 5 site, and that site only has 1 device family and 2 eligible devices instead of 3 and 10. Okay, so now we've focused this on a specific geography, and as we go through each one of these different cards, that focus is still there because we've said we want to work on that specific geography. Similarly, we can focus down on specific device types. The last thing to really point out is, in here we've got a CCO ID, or so that this is the user ID that's used to download the images or the image information. So that can be updated here as well. And we can update the image information there, the information about the images by just clicking the sync updates. The little information icon here should pop up and tell me that. Okay, now let's scroll down. These aren't really part of the new way of thinking about SWIM. These are other tools that are in other parts of Catalyst Center, but to put everything in one place, they're on this page as well. So that's that. That's our overview page. Let's move ahead and look at how we manage images now. So we're still on the software image management part of Catalyst Center. We're going to hit the images tab. And now we're going to see, actually, I've still got that filter, right? So our Richardson 5 filters still applied. So we're only seeing 2 devices and 1 image family. Let's clear that. Let's just go to global. And now we see information about our software images. We've got 3 device families. We can see them here, 9300, 9800, and 8000. There's images are running on 10 devices. We've got 1 device family without a standard image. 1 image has critical advisor, or we've got 1 critical advisory on images and 44 high advisories. Some of this is a bit concerning, right? Device families without a standard image. Oh, now, hopefully, I think Chris talked about this, but we're renaming, right? What used to be known as a golden image has been standardized and is now being called a standard image. And this is to try to start using the same terminology across all of the Cisco platforms and controllers. Okay, so we're moving away from sort of like the cute golden image to just calling it a standard image now. So what we can see here is that we've got a device family that has not had a standard or golden image assigned. Let's click on this card, and now we see, you know, a filtered view, and this is the device family without a standard image. Let's click on that and see more details about this device family. And we can see the version it's running. First of all, the cards here show the most important information. There's only 1 card for this device family. There's only 1 device running an image for this device family. It has no critical or high severity advisories. And we can come down here. So we don't have, see here, attributes. No attribute is showing that we have a golden image assigned. What we can do under actions here is mark as standard. So one other thing to note is that the most likely to be useful to you are at the top. So we've got, you know, the software images that are recommended. If you go to software.cisco.com, this would be not recommended or suggested images. Okay, there's another area where we're sort of still trying to make sure we all start using the same terminology. So recommended is common in Catalyst Center. It's common when you look at the, what do you call them? The software, what do you call it? The matrix of what software should be used with what versions. So we're standardizing on terminology. But okay, so we can see here, we've got image that Cisco Software Center says is recommended. This one's the latest. We can see here this is 17.5, that's 17.12. So this might be the one that we would download from cisco.com using that user ID we have, and then mark as standard. Okay, and then we would have a standard image assigned to this software family. And when we update the device running that, which is the transit control plane, it will get updated with the new standard image. Let's go back. What am I doing here? Images, all devices. Why am I not seeing all device families? Yeah. All right, now we see 3 device families. The 9300 is probably the most interesting. Oh, actually, let me go back here. We see that we've got one image running that has a critical security advisory. That's also not a good thing. So let's click on that card, and now we get a filtered view. So now we know the product family with a critical security advisory is the 9300 product family. Let's select that and look at all the images running 9300. And again, along the top now, we get cards. Again, we get cards showing us the most important information. So we can see here, this is the standard image, or previously known as the golden image. So this is the image that's been marked as standard. We've only got one device running it, but it's a good image because it's not got any critical or high updates, and it's a fairly recent version, though, this MPE, it's maybe not a good thing. But this is the image we have as marked as standard. If we look across here, we've got another image, 1712. It's got 5 devices running it, and it's got one high security advisory. Not so good, but this one's even worse. We're on 17.6. We got 42 high advisories and 1 critical advisory. This is not a good situation. Let's see what devices are running it. Oh, before we do that, let's see what the advisory is. So we just click on the advisory and we can see, oh, look, there's vulnerabilities in the web UI. We probably want to fix that. What device is it? We'll click here on the number showing devices running, and we'll see, in this case, the one device running that image, and it's our FIAB. So let's remember that. We're not going to upgrade it right now. But we've got the 9300 running FIAB. It's running an image with lots of security advisories. If we scroll down in the table, let's have a look at some of the things we can do in this table. First of all, we can mark a standard image, okay? Once it's marked, we can remove it, or we can edit the standard conditions. What that means is we can say, well, we want to make this the standard image only for border routers, and we'll make a different one the standard image for core routers. That's something you might want to do. We can also mark it for specific tags if you have those defined in your network. Another really useful thing that's sort of rolled up here is, I've got a very small screen here, but we can see there's 4 add-ons for this image. And what that means, if we use this arrow to drop down, we'll see those add-ons. And we see we've got 4 smooths that could be applied to this image. One of them, I went ahead and downloaded. So what that means is, when we see these smooths available, we check out whether we want them or need them for what we're doing. And if so, we can download them. And then when we upgrade a device with this image, it'll get the smooth we selected as well. Same thing applies down here. We've got an image with what do you call it? APSP, Advanced Persistent Security Patch. Okay, so if you download these and make this the golden image, then those APSPs will get uploaded when devices running the image get uploaded. Okay, so that's our software images. Let's take a look at devices. So we're still in the software image management part of Catalyst Center. We'll hit the devices tab. And here we get the information about all the devices in our network and the image status. I think it's quite useful here to just sort of look, we can click these cards and say, all right, well, we've got one device, this one, the transit control plane with no standard image assigned. We talked about that earlier. Or we could come back and we could say, all right, who's got an update readiness failed? The wireless line controllers swim update readiness check has failed. And we'll come back to this and fix it later. But again, I don't want to do too much jumping around while we're going through these different screens. We can also select ready for update. We can see we've got 4 devices, all 9300s ready for update. If we go into eligible devices, we can sort of filter here. So, let's filter on software version. So we can say 17.12, and we'll just see the devices running that software version. So quite a bit we can do here. And again, I'm going to run through some scenarios at the end where we actually do something useful. But for now, I'm just going to leave it here, and we'll come back to the device tab to actually make some updates. The last tab in the swim page is updates. And this is where you see top 5 failed updates. Or actually, I think it's the most recent 5 failed updates, the most recent successful, and the most recent in progress. If you've got more than 5, you can click down here to see all. And if you've got any scheduled, you'll see them there. So now we've gone through all the tabs in the swim page. Let's have a quick look at how you might actually use it. Let's start off back on the home, on the overview page. We can see here that we have, let's say, 1 device with a readiness update failed. So let's click on that card on the overview page, and we're taken now to the devices page, and we've got a filter showing that 1 device that had the pre-check failure. Let's scroll across here, and we can see readiness check status failed. Let's click that, and we can see, information about why the software image update readiness check failed. We can see, danger on the mobility tunnel. Okay, so we've got some clue now why that software update's not going to work. Let's go into the device. So we're going to click the actual device. We get this sort of familiar pop-up, and we can run commands. So now we're on the CLI of this device. Let's do a show wireless. Well, I type poorly when I'm nervous. So show wireless mobility summary. And now we'll see, yeah, sure, there are problems with that mobility tunnel. Here's the device. It doesn't have a group name or IP or status. So we're going to need to actually get in and configure that device properly before we run the software image update. But this is, information we are able to glean without even leaving the swim page. Let's go back and look at another scenario. This time, let's say critical advisories. So we've got 1 critical advisory. We're on the overview page. We can see here, in the images part, 1 critical advisory. Let's click that. Now we'll go to the images tab with the filter on the product family with that critical advisory. We'll click there. And actually, it's pretty easy to come over here to the card and see, all right, again, on these cards, we've got the card showing the standard image. We've got and then we'll see cards showing, increasingly less devices. So there's 5 devices running this image and only 1 device running this image, but it does have a critical security advisory. What is that advisory? Let's click on the number here, and we see that it's got that web UI problem. Yeah, we've already done this, haven't we? Yeah, and the device is Firebox, so we know about that fire. Sorry, I think I'm covering old ground here. So let's go back to swim. And all right, one last thing. We'll go to the overviews. And we can see here we've got, under devices, 4 devices ready for update. So let's click on that. And we straight away see our 4 9300s that are ready to update. Here's a FIAB device that's running the 17.6 code that has those high security advisories, and other devices that also have security advisories, by the way. So let's select all those and then update devices. This is how we would actually push new code down to these devices, right? So we've seen they're ready for update. We've selected them. Now we're going to go and update them. We need a task name. Oops, I've got a special character in that. All right, that's better. Next. Now we're going to see the pre-checks we're going to run. Okay, so we're going to validate all these things before we even push the image out, and we can turn them off if we don't think they're applicable. Then we're going to see software activation checks. Now, for some of these things, like, the top one here, spanning tree, we might want to run that spanning tree check before we update it and then check it after we update it. So that's how that's configured, right? So a lot of these are run both before the update's applied and then again after the update. Let's go next. Device activation order. Now, we'll probably just do this all in parallel, but we can also do them sequentially. And when we go sequential, we can change the order. And this is where we'd actually manage things like ISSU and make sure that we're actually doing ISSU when we push the image out via SWIM. So then I think the next step is just scheduling it. So we can schedule the distribution now or later, and we can schedule the activation now or later. Okay, so that's how we would update those devices that are ready to be updated. I'm not actually going to do that because we're in the lab. I'll just go back. I'll exit out of this. But see, I bailed out. I didn't do it. But down here, we have that job that, a few seconds ago, and I can either resume it or I can delete it. Let's delete it. So, yeah, I think that is what I think Chris and I wanted to show you. I hope from this demo and Chris's presentation, you've been able to see the utility of SWIM, as well as this new way of consolidating all the SWIM pages into one place, and the change around the way in which, instead of golden images, we now have standard images, and the way we sort of make all of those software add-ons easily available. Few changes, but really the main thing is to consolidate everything here together. So with that, I'm going to hand it back to Rico to take us home.
That was great. Great demo. Thank you so much, Bruce. And in looking at our Q&A panel here, I see that our panelists have actually took care of all of the outstanding questions throughout the webinar. So thank you to our panelists there.
Awesome.
Yeah. So that's taken care of. And Chris and Bruce, before we close out the session for today, do you have any closing comments for our audience?
I mean, as I reiterated multiple times, really take advantage of what SWIM can bring to you in your network environment. It really can make your life a lot easier. Having been a network administrator at one point in my life, I know how it can get out of hand really quickly when you have a lot of network infrastructure.
What Chris said.
Short and sweet. All right. No, thank you so much, Chris, for that, and Bruce as well. So with that, we're going to go ahead and wrap up our session for today. And once again, I just really want to thank Chris and Bruce for speaking about this topic with our audience today. I hope that everyone found great value in the information that was shared here today. And I would also like to extend a very big thank you to our panelists for lending a hand with all of the questions throughout the presentation. We really appreciate it. And for our attendees, if you do have any additional questions or would like to continue the conversation about today's topic, we do encourage you to participate in our online post-event discussion. The link is available in our Slido resources on the left-hand side if you're logged in through Slido. So you can go ahead and take the link from there and visit us on the Cisco Learning Network at any time if you'd like to chime in with any additional questions. And another reminder is that we are actually going to be launching a survey in just a moment here. And we'd really appreciate it if you can just take a moment to complete it and let us know your thoughts about today's presentation. We always look forward to receiving your valuable feedback. And again, I'd like to thank our presenters, our panelists, and all of our attendees for joining us here live. I hope that you enjoy the rest of your day, and we look forward to seeing you next time on the Cisco Learning Network. Thank you all so much, and have a great day.
So long.